Resolution 1325 was unanimously adopted on 31st of October 2000 by the United Nations Security Council. It was the first formal and legal document from the UN that required parties in a conflict to respect women's rights and to support their participation in peace negotiations and in post-conflict reconstruction. More than a decade has passed since the landmark resolution was passed, and much remains to be done. Since 2010, the UN has organised open days on women, peace and security in conflict-affected areas to help further the goals of 1325. The open days provide a platform for women to speak directly with senior UN leaders, to share their experiences, concerns and priorities as a contribution to national and regional efforts to resolve conflicts and build security.
What is incredible about these open days is that they take place in every country where there is a UN presence, and it is for the first time usually in a year that women have the opportunity to come and talk to the UN senior leadership. The open days are really important because they're based on the outcomes and the calls for action in Resolution 1325, which urge women's political participation as well as their protection from sexual violence and their integration of their voices into all areas of decision making.
On the International Day of Peace this year, Cyprus held its second Open Day. Representatives from Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot civil society met to discuss what action could be taken to realise 1325 in Cyprus. The recommendations were presented to senior UN leaders at a specially convened panel discussion.
This is a serious point because you can't have a successful democracy without participation, without a sense of ownership. Okay, the party you vote for may lose, but at least you've had a go. And if you are in some way excluded from the process, then after a while you begin to resent and despise the process, and it's not going to succeed. But the question is, to what extent are citizens fully able to participate in the political processes of the land? And to what extent are they able to have their voices heard if they want to have their voices heard?
I would like the UN to start immediately to monitor human rights of women as well as other marginalized groups in the north, and to start building international pressure to help our work at the grassroots level.
And I call up all people, but especially UN, to contribute to a campaign to explain to Cypriots about the human security and the importance for the Cyprus problem.
UN Women should recruit a representative to represent Cyprus as soon as possible, with appropriate resources to support the inclusion of gender perspective into the peace process and women's political engagement.
The UN shall support the development of a gender portal that will facilitate transparency and information sharing on peace process and other issues of importance.
Bizim Birleşmiş Milletler'den talebimiz kadın konusundaki çalışmaların bir mapping sürecinden geçerek belirli bir şekilde bir database'in oluşmasıdır.
Other recommendation to the UN is to really support a women's discourse conference, okay, on the Cyprus solution.
we would like UN to encourage and support specific training for men on gender equality and to raise awareness of the importance of women's political participation.
For me, one of the most important recommendations, all very important of course, is the inclusion of women at the negotiating table. The Cyprus peace process has been going on for decades, and we haven't really seen a woman sitting at the negotiating table, which the UN Security Council resolution really talks about.
We call UN to technically support enhancing the relationship between NGOs and stakeholders, to influence authorities to conduct full and inclusive consultation and trainings.
I think that the UN needs to advocate for a quota system for women that will actually have a greater chance of delivering a demilitarized peace in Cyprus.
Today in Cyprus we saw some really great outcomes of recommendations that came out, cross-cutting from women in decision making to women in the peace process to women's voices simply being heard and not marginalised in their societies. And so the opportunity to be able to take these and take advantage of it and to call on UN leadership to take women's voices seriously and to take and mobilise some action around women's participation is something we have to take very seriously. And today, I think we took it seriously.